So yeah, and good morning to you. It is probably the most important week of the year. And I want to walk you through what Wall Street just done, what hedge funds have just done, what the Fed's going to do, how it's going to affect valuations, and also give you the number one trade that Goldman Sachs is recommending to their institutional investors, not to the common muck like you and me. I'm going to fortify ourselves here with some unflavored electrolytes this week, which taste well, slightly salty, but no sugar, no artificial anything, just the good old minerals, which is the way we like to roll. So, shall we get cracking? I'll share my screen with you as I pour myself this delicious salty beverage. And there we get into it. Someone asked me the other day, why do you always drink electrolytes? I live in a very hot place most of the time, so it's kind of a good thing to do. If you have questions, pop them in the chat. Are you on keto? No. I don't really go in for. I think fasting is a reasonable thing. I think keto is just a product placement for the agricultural industry, corn and soy particularly, because they make money out of the meat industry, and that's what they're trying to get you to do. So follow the money trail when someone says to do something. So here we go. Here is the first chart of the week. And it looks confusing, doesn't it? Now, the good thing is the author used 3 colors, quite patriotic, really, which is nice. Did you hear about what do you make of Trump getting shot at a second time? Love to hear your thoughts on that one, especially if you are American over there. So what have we got? There are essentially 2 types of people out there. There are those who are long, as in they buy stocks. There are those who short, as in they sell stocks as an investment strategy. And then you've got the sort of average, which is the net. And what do you see? Well, you see that since our June highs, institutions have been selling, right? And that's not good. And the shorts have been particularly active this September, been selling a lot. Now, we did get bailed out slightly last week by NVIDIA's CEO giving us some more magic. But Apple will also get onto that. I'll tell you why they're up. I got the data on that one as well. I'll tell you exactly why they're down. There is a good reason for that. And then if you look a little bit deeper into what they're actually buying and selling, then the thing they're selling is, well, energy stocks. They had a great year. Tech, right? Consumer staples and real estate. That's what they're selling. And they're selling specific individual stocks, and they're buying, by the way, financials like mad. I've just got a trade on one of the financial brokers out there, which has been doing really well, like really nicely. So this is important to realize that while you're nibbling, the institutions are like, no, we're selling that crap to you, basically. And this is basically why. And I showed you this chart at the end of August, and I think maybe even in July, and it's like just saying, guys, just buckle up for the second half of September. October shouldn't be much better. And that's just because historically, second half of September is a horrible, horrible month. And we're about to enter the second half of September, aren't we? Actually, we're in the second half of September. Who knows what date it is? So bear that in mind. Just because we had a nice little bounce from NVIDIA at the end of last week, we're not out of the woodwork yet. And I mean that. So be a little cautious here. Now, if we can move on a little bit further here. Oh, yes, we're making money. We're making money. We've always made money. We make money, and we are up now $28,000 on our $30,000 teaching portfolio, which is something like 93% or something we're up by. You want to learn how we do that? Come and join me tomorrow, actually, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll teach you for about an hour and a half or something. And I'll show you the entire strategy. It's fairly simple, really. It's 3 steps. I'll basically show you how we enter the trade. I'll show you where we take profits in an automated way. And I'll also show you how we manage our risk if things go against us. And again, that's in an automated way, so we don't have to, stare at things. You get Kamala ads on my videos. Good God. Political ads on our videos. That's terrible, isn't it? I don't think you can block that stuff, probably. This is why Apple is down, and that's also an important thing to realize, because what Apple does is still important, AAPL. I thought I misspelled it, but that's Apple. And the problem is that the estimated first weekend pre-orders, so these are the people who would normally sleep in tents outside Apple stores. I'd like to meet one of those people. They must be special somehow. And the iPhone Pro orders, so the Pro and the Pro Max, their first weekend pre-order sales versus the iPhone 15, the previous model, are down 16% and 27%. Not exactly the AI replacement cycle. We're going to sell lots more phones than we did last time around, right? So that's rather disappointing. Now, it is true that the plus numbers look good, decent, but we're worried about the Pro because, that's the higher ticket item, right? So therefore the higher margin item. And therefore Apple stock is committing harakiri this morning, I think. Well, down 2.5%, but that's quite a lot when you're a $3 trillion company. So not brilliant, I would say, and something to bear in mind because that drags down the whole bloody tech sector. If we look at pre-market, there we go. See, everything is red. Everything is red. Just a little bit. It's not horrible, but it's just everything is a little bit red here. Robert, you're onto the keto thing. You see, I like carbs. I'm a big fan of carbs. Rice, especially. I think rice is amazing. If you look at the country with the highest life expectancy, look at Japan, right? What do they eat? Rice. Lots of rice, white rice, which we're told has no nutrients whatsoever, which of course is complete nonsense. It's a fantastic thing if you looked outside of the very, very niche world that Western nutritionists like to look at. But anyway, that's another story. This, my friends, and I didn't want to hold this back, is Goldman Sachs's, the big GS's, top trade right now. They're saying this is just glorious, and of course not recommending it or telling you what to do. But it is, of course, silver. And I'm looking here at the silver ETF, but any variation of silver looks pretty much the same thing. And what do you see? Well, we've broken out of this downtrend here, which was that white line. That was the downtrend. Because we had high here, lower high there, slightly lower high here, even lower high there. But now we've got this beautiful rally up here. Kind of a textbook thing, really. You get that explosion up there. You get increasing volume for 2 days. You're above everything. All moving averages are pointing up. It's sort of like God's gift to the trader. That's really what that is. So yeah, I can totally see why Goldman's are pushing that. Maybe they caused it. Who knows? But that looks quite sweet, really. Rice is amazing. No gluten. You see, I'm also a big fan of gluten. I think gluten intolerance is a complete nonsense. I think it's completely made up. It's just you're eating processed food. That's really the problem. It's not gluten's fault. Gluten, again, is a wonderful thing. Anyway, I digress. Goldman Sachs on silver are saying, okay, the reason it's going to go up, AI, silver is apparently somehow part of the semiconductor supply chain. Who knew? There is a more dovish Fed is going to be good for it. And it's basically trading below gold. And to understand that logic, let me show you good old gold and Apple. Okay, here we go. Let me make both of these lines so it's a little bit clearer. So it depends a little bit on the time frame, obviously, with every chart crime ever committed. But if you zoom out a little bit more, say to beginning of 2022, then the red line is gold and silver is trading a little bit lower. So that's kind of the idea. It does trade a little bit lower a lot of the time, but that's kind of the idea that there is a catch-up trade here as well. And then on the verge of a multi-month breakout. And I agree with them on the breakout for sure. I think the gold thing, I don't really care for suits too much. But the breakout is definitely pretty sweet here. So from a chart point of view, from a trader's point of view, this looks rather interesting. Aruna, you love your rice? I do too. Rice is fantastic. Rice is really one of those things. I don't know how you live without rice, to be honest with you. I don't think I rarely have a meal without rice. So Goldman Sachs put this out, and what happens? Well, everybody runs out and buys call options on SLV, which is silver. So the trade is in full swing, which is interesting. So there you have it. You can have a look at that if you like, if you're interested in that. Do your own bloody research, of course. And then maybe the story that everyone's going to be talking about for the next 48 hours or so. Organic jasmine rice with salmon. My cats like salmon. Winston does too. I'm more on for the rice. Mm. Ah, electrolytes, nice and salty. Okay, this is what everyone's talking about. This is the rate cut we're going to get, right? Now, rate cuts will come in either. We're going to get let me get a blue pen here. Either we're going to get a 0.5% cut or we're going to get a 0.25% cut. Right now, there is a 65% probability of the bigger cut and a 35% probability of the smaller cut. That's others. The market expects it. It's not an insight into the Muppets at the Fed's brains. It's just the market expectation. And that's based on actual trading futures. So it's not sort of a quiz or something. And that's shifted massively. If you go back a week, 70% of the market thought we would only get a quarter point cut, rather. Now it is 65% on the half point. So what's the problem with this? If you don't get half a point cut, the market's going to be terribly, terribly disappointed. And the Fed might just come in and go, we're going to be cautious and conservative and data-driven after we printed $4 trillion, which I don't want anybody to remember. So the market will tank, exactly as Costa says, if we only get a 0.25% cut, because it will be less than most people expected. Basmati rice. Basmati rice is very nice. Although there are also other rices, which are very, very nice. The Japanese have a whole... Do you go into Japanese food shops and they have like fridges full of all these different rice types and they're amazing. Seriously, buy the most expensive and eat that. It's just blows your socks off. Like nutty and delicious. A bit like our stock performance so far this year. Not stock performance, trading performance. We are up about 93% so far this year. You want to come and learn how we do that? Join me at felixprehn.org/bootcamp tomorrow. It's completely free of charge. All you got to bring is a pen and a pad and a desire to learn and maybe be financially free, which is really what it's all about. So for the rest of the week, we got some excitement built in, some real excitement. Tomorrow we get retail sales data, yay! Which of course is going to impact your Macy's and your Nike and your Foot Locker and that kind of stock. And just generally market sentiment, how much money is the consumer still got. And then on Tuesday, of course, the Fed rate decision and the Fed press conference. And that's kind of the key thing here. And then on Thursday, just to round it up, so we get a lot of Powell this week. On Wednesday, we get Powell. And then on Thursday, guess what? We get some more Powell. So that'll be interesting. And then on Friday, we get a bit more the favorite Powell metric, the core PCE data. So that'll tell us a lot about what they're going to do at the next meeting, which is after Wednesday. Everyone's only going to talk about what's happening at the next meeting. We don't really care that much. Actually, I'm lying. We do care whether we're going to get that 0.5% cut or whether we're going to get that 0.25% cut. That does really matter. But we are also going to want to try and figure out what are they going to do next? What's his language? If he only gives us a 0.25 point cut, but says we expect to keep trimming rates at the next meetings unless data changes, then again, that would be okay. We could live with that. But if he just does only a quarter cut and says, we're not sure we need to do another one this year, then the market will run around naked and start screaming. Terry, you're very kind, referring to my kitten there who passed away last week. It's very hard. It really is very hard when you lose these little creatures that are with you for 18 years and you put them to bed every day and they're always there. It's just, I didn't really factor that into it. My conclusion from it is just life's shorter than you think. And you really got to enjoy every minute of it. And if you're doing something you're not really loving, then you got to change it. And we talked about a few things today which we're going to change. And I, generally speaking, only do really what I want, but there's still some things that you can think, yeah, this isn't quite right. This isn't quite perfect. And I was going to wait a year, but why wait a year, right? Why not do it today? Because you might not have that year. Right, now we're getting a bit morbid here, aren't we? Friday and Bank of Japan is much more important. Yeah, that's also definitely something to look at. Our Japanese friends there. And Tibble, you're very kind. Appreciate that. I've just kind of been spending a lot of time with the other kittens we have. We have 2 more kittens, and we have Winston. And you know, they get really sad. They get really depressed, just like we do. So we gotta really distract them. And play with them more and cuddle them more and all that kind of thing, because otherwise, you know, you don't want them to be depressed either, do you? Right, shall we have a look at some of our favorite stocks and how they are performing this morning? That actually rhymes, doesn't it? Terry, that appreciate that. NVDA, okay. So down a little bit here. We're at that dotted line here. So we're down below Friday's low, which isn't brilliant, but also it isn't horrendous, but it is just undoing some of the good work that we did last week. And it's taking us below this yellow 50-day moving average, which is a bearish sign. So not exactly brilliant. I think a lot of the culprit there is just Apple, because if Apple isn't able to sell its AI devices, it might sort of imply that, well, maybe Dell can't sell its AI devices. Maybe Microsoft can't sell its AI laptops and all that kind of thing. That's a little bit the concern with it here. So Apple literally trading here at 216 below the September low. So the second half of September is kicking off the way we would expect it to, with dead fish in your face, really, hitting you pretty hard right between the eyes. And some of our other favorite stocks, feel free to chuck some in here, and I will try to answer you as well. Why can't they do a full one, Paul? What are you talking about? Oh, you mean a big cut? Oh no, then they're very unlikely. If they did, you know what? They would actually crash the market. I tell you why, because it would cause sheer panic. So if you did that, the market would just go, oh my God, they must have data that says everything is going to collapse. We're in a recession. No, run. And all the headlines would be massive cut on recession fears. And everyone would be talking about that. And the consumer would stop spending money and the US economy would come to a complete standstill. So no, I don't think that's a good idea. Tesla here, still above the 50-day, which is good. Just a moderate pullback. We just have that 230 resistance here, which seems a little much for it, but it's only 50 cents above where we are right now. So close 50 cents higher than where we are right now, and I think we're talking. PLTR. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? That looks pretty sweet. We're trading at 35.73, which is nearish the high of Friday. It's higher than we closed on Friday. So pretty good stuff here. And the traders are moving up to $40, which is pretty good. And speaking of tech stocks, there is SoFi. They'd be very significantly affected by a larger rate cut. It would be very, very good for them. Okay, that's also quite sweet. Trading at the very top end of Friday's trading range there. So the rally seems alive and well. I still want them to break out above this sort of $8.20 zone here, but we are at least making some progress. If you took a line and if you connected that high to that high here, a little optimistic, but at least we're moving in the right direction, right? Approximately, at least. With the Apple shipments, yeah, they're sort of estimates. I don't really know quite how they come up with those. I suppose somebody's got data, somebody tracks the data. Maybe Apple leaks it or something. Who knows? Archer Aviation. I haven't looked at that in ages. That's a bit of a random one. Are they coming back alive? No. Sorry. That looks still horrendous. So yeah, a little bit of a recovery here, but still pretty horrific. No, we haven't looked at ARM. ARM moves kind of arm in arm with NVIDIA typically. And it's, well, looking a little bit better than NVIDIA right now. We're above the 50-day moving average still, but moving average still sloping down. I'd still be cautious, to be honest. I'd still be a bit cautious on that. If we closed higher than Friday today, then I think, yeah, that might be the turnaround. But I'm suspicious of breakouts like this when things are sloping down. Okay, let me just do a quick recap of sort of top of the story here, and then we'll dive back into what the market's doing as we got 8 minutes to open here. So I wanted to show you this and just show you what the bastards on Wall Street, the cockroaches, the investment bankers and hedge fund friendlies on Wall Street are doing. They're selling, basically. So the amount of short selling is significant here, and the overall net positioning is basically negative. And that means while they are selling, you are buying, right? They're selling it to retail mostly. And what are they selling? Well, they're selling mostly energy stocks, tech, right? Which is, what we talk about a lot, tech, and then staples. And the one thing that they are buying are financials, which is this one here, which has been a nice trade. Oracle. I saw a video of Larry, what's it called? Larry Ellison, what's he called? The Oracle chap. He's 80 years old. Have you seen how good that guy looks? He's 80 years old. I couldn't believe that. What's he called? Larry. Here we go. There we go. Have you seen the guy? He looks freaking amazing. He's 80. This is what he looks like right now. It's insane. I mean, it's fantastic for him. I wonder what he does. Okay, maybe he had a facelift, but I mean, he looks 80. Seriously, that's my kind of 80. New golds there. So, where were we? Oh yes, second half of this month is traditionally the worst 2 weeks of the year, and the market is a momentum beast. The market is an emotional beast that doesn't follow numbers, but it follows psychology, and that's why trading works, because we can predict psychology, we can chart it, and second half of September is just generally terrible. So please be aware of that. Financials, banks, or something else. I think a lot of the mortgage broker stocks and stuff like that have done very, very well. I have a trade open on something called, hang on. Yeah, FOA, for example, which was nice. So we got in somewhere here, and we're up, very nicely, 25% or something like that. So, which is, these are kind of mortgage finance type companies. So yeah, that whole sector is doing well on the expectation of rate cuts. Exercise is key. Yeah, he does look like he exercises. He's got good posture. Makes me want to sit up straighter. Looks like a pretty muscly guy. Must be the GAC juice. Absolutely. You know what? I haven't had my GAC juice today. There you go. That's a disaster, isn't it? Can we find out where that guy gets plastic surgery from? Yeah, I know. It's good, isn't it? It's really, really good. But then I think he's worth about $190 billion. You'd think you might be able to find a decent plastic surgeon. But seriously, it's impressive. Almost as impressive as the fact that we're up 93% on our portfolio so far this year, trading. So come and learn how we do that tomorrow. felixprehn.org/bootcamp. Links down below. And I'll teach you how we set up trades, when, and how we automate risk management and profit taking. The whole shebang. Now, Apple, disappointing pre-sales of the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, below the last iPhone's pre-sales. And yeah, that's got the market a little bit worried. And judging by the source here, maybe this gets leaked from the China suppliers, Foxconn and that lot. Because actually, I guess they would know, wouldn't they? How many whatever you were pre-ordering. So I guess there is in the supply chain, probably there's a leak in there, which we're of course grateful for. We looked at the silver trade as well. That looks quite promising. A very nice breakout here. Goldman Sachs is all over it, shouting it from the rooftops because of AI, a more dovish Fed, and then they're saying it's going to catch up with gold. Who knows about that one? But it is, like, from a chart point of view, a very, very nice breakout, and the call options are flying out of the window on silver, out of the, everybody wants them. That's what I'm trying to say. Hector, appreciate that. That's very kind of you. How badly with the market drop the Fed doesn't cut at all, says John. I don't think we really want to contemplate that scenario, John. It would not be pretty. That's what I'm saying. I'm getting some GAC extract from Amazon. Interesting. Okay, I'm glad that they sell that. So yeah, here's the big one. 65% of the market is expecting a 0.5% rate cut. So there is possibility of some serious disappointment if we don't get it. So be a little cautious this week. That's what I would say. Puventan, if you judge my videos by the titles, you'll be stark raving mad and be locked within an institution by the end of the year. I don't recommend it. Watch them, my friend, and then judge on the content, not the titles. YouTube is a tabloid, so we need to use tabloid headlines, otherwise nobody watches the videos. It's weird. It took me a while to catch on to that. But if I want to teach people how to actually make money and get to financial freedom, which is what the plan is here, we want to make 1 million people financially free and enjoy their life, then we got to have tabloid titles and silly thumbnails. It's the only way to do it. So yeah, I tried away from it at the beginning, but I'm sorry, it's the way it works. Human psychology is like that. We got to give you something dramatic. Otherwise, nobody will watch it, which then has zero benefit. So Fed meeting Wednesday. Press conference 2:30 p.m. and on Thursday we get an extra dose of bonus Powell at 9:20 a.m. just to explain, I don't know, something. So that'll be interesting. Why do you think hedge funds are selling? Because the second half of September is typically dreadful. October, pre an election, is typically dreadful, and they like to make money. It's a weird thing that hedge funds got. They are purely profit focused. They have no religious affiliation with their favorite stocks. They don't care what they make money with. They're just there to make money. It's very, very simple. It's cold-hearted, but it's the way it works. And I actually kind of recommend to think like that. Don't care about the stock. Just buy it to make money or sell it to make money. That's really what it's all about. Stacey, you like the silly headlines. We're having a bit of fun with it. And I kind of look at it like that now. It's just a bit of fun. The content underneath it hasn't changed. It's still reasonably serious, as much as I'm ever serious. And hopefully educational. That's always the goal. So you also have to put red circles and arrows in your thumbnails. Yes, that point to nothing or to something that you can't read or something that's blurred out or a price that's pixeled out, all that kind of stuff. It's what you got to do. Seriously, it is. If you want people to actually watch it, that's what you got to do. It's very silly, but it literally is like a tabloid with billions of headlines all at the same time. Paul, you're very kind. Thank you. Rice high in lectins. What the heck are lectins? Is that the stuff that... I think rice is fantastic. You look at the 100 million plus Japanese, you look at 1.4 billion Chinese, you look at 1.6 billion Indians, they all live off rice. And they're all thinner, slimmer, healthier than people living on the American diet. So I'm going to keep eating rice. That's really all there is to it, because no one's making a lot of money out of rice, whereas people are making a lot of money out of all the processed junk that they try to sell us. Now, the face that I've just been to the proctologist works for videos. Yeah. What have I missed? Armageddon, absolutely. It's all over, my friend. That was really what we should have called this year. Lectins in tomatoes. White rice is very good for you. And just don't eat don't eat the golden rice, the GMO rice, which is just the way of raping farmers, basically. Ridiculous. Sorry, you can't sprout and make seeds out of our rice. You have to buy it from us every single time. I mean, yes, it's going to save the world. Believe that or not. Now, 24-hour rice, is that the stuff you ferment first? Is that what it is? Same rice cooled for 24 hours. No GI index. Yeah, I'm not huge on the whole GI thing, to be honest. My blood sugar doesn't really spike it. I think it depends on what you eat with it. I think that's really what it's all about. If you eat sushi, it's soaked in sugar, right? So don't do that. But I think rice on its own, it's amazing. Right, so Danzo drinks beer. Okay, that's also something. But says the content is very valuable. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, you're getting me thoroughly distracted. Now the market is open. Do you think we should look at it? Now the key, the big thing moving today is good old Apple. Yeah, it's still relevant. They are selling less iPhones than expected, and they're down 2.95%, 3% down now. Lovely. And it's taken the market, the tech market with it. Nvidia's down 2%, though recovering. Tesla is down 2% and still falling. For no apparent reason other than sort of a bit of sympathy there. Nope, no particular reason for it. Eat veggies first, then carbs, lower GI. I just eat it all together, to be honest with you. I just think it's easier. But anyway, I'm a diabetic. Saved my life. Well, that's a very different scenario. Obviously, you have to really pay attention to your blood sugar. I don't. it's a very different situation that you're in to the rest of us. GMO rice is complete nonsense, my friend. It's highly processed. Okay, the whole point of, and this is obviously my opinion, right? But GMO does not make a product or the rice more efficient or better to grow. It makes it pesticide resistant. So they can spray it with more toxic crap. So all you're doing is you are eating more toxic crap and you're polluting your land more. Secondly, normally what farmers do, they grow rice, right? They sell 98% of it, they keep the other 2%, and they use that to replant the field. You can't do that with GMO rice. Why not? They've turned that off. Why? Because that way you have to go and buy seeds again every single freaking season. So who wins? The guys who make the GMO rice. Who loses? Everybody else. That's my rant on GMO done. So, Paul, we never eat veggies. Okay, I think you might want to do something about that, my friend. So, any questions? Anything you want to look at other than the slightly depressing Tesla chart down 2.6%, Nvidia down 3% now. So these are the pre-rate cut blues. Anything else going down? I know Palantir is still up 1 percentage point. Can't help themselves. Stock's just too good. SoFi is flat. They kind of like that. Danzo, I don't eat sugar. Yeah, I also don't. I try not to eat sugar. I mean, you gotta live a little, right? Occasionally I'll go to a cafe and I'll have a nice piece of cake, but generally speaking, I don't eat sugar. You want to see PSNY? You're into a bit of S&M, right? It's trading at $1.60, down 1.8% here. Nvidia down 3.3%. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Meta down 1.2%. It is just a bit of a gloomy morning here today, isn't it? What about Amazon? Is down 1.5% as well. So it's kind of the way we're feeling right now. We're a little bit antsy about very high expectations for a 0.5 percentage point cut. And maybe if we don't get that, we'd all be a little bit gloomy. Plus Apple apparently pre-selling less iPhones. What veggies would you recommend to add as a carnivore? I mean, I like it all, to be honest with you. I just had I had a nice kind of English sort of pie thing, and what did they make with it? It had broccoli with it. It had potatoes that were roasted. It had carrots. It was delicious. But mostly I eat Asian food, which will be more, again, anything really. Anything that's in season. Just do that. Wherever you live, just go to the market and buy whatever the heck's just growing locally at that part of the time of the year. That'll be the best food you could ever eat because it's actually nutritious and it's designed to be eaten at that time of the year. So just do that. Very simple. Broccoli's good. Yeah, everything's good. Winston's a big fan of broccoli. PayPal is still up, which is nice to see. VIX is spiking 5% up here at 1744, which is yeah, a little bit of panic sitting in there. Spinach can be nice, yes. The frozen stuff I'm not a fan of, but if it's fresh, it's good. Now we're becoming a vegetable show, aren't we? This is the vegetable channel, chaps. Occasionally we talk about money. UNH is flat. What about the other fat drugs? LLY, even that's slightly down. And fat floats to the top, so a little unusual. Let me just hit refresh here on the live market. So yeah, we're a little bit doomy gloomy. Finance is looking good. Oracle is up 2.6%. Netflix in the green. Microsoft's flat. Tesla down 2. I mean, for Tesla, it's not really a big move. So Apple and Nvidia, for Apple, 3.7% down is a big move because we had high hopes that they would sell a heck of a lot more iPhones because of AI. And if they can't pull that off, I mean, the phone that they released, the presentation was just boring, wasn't it? Boring and terrible. So not looking very good there. No. Ask yourself, could I recognize the food in nature? Yes, that's very true. Very true. The Europeans are pretty good at the whole veggie thing. When I'm in France, you just literally drive anywhere and there's always a farmer somewhere selling stuff. It's just so freaking fresh. The food smells. I mean, the vegetables in a good way. It's because it's actually grown locally. It hasn't died somewhere and sprayed to death. So just find some local farmers near you and somebody will probably deliver or something and just buy that. And maybe they'll send you a box of whatever they grow every week or something and eat that. And what you don't like, you give it to your dog, that sort of thing. We have a second channel, Felix and the Giant Cucumber. That sounds a little raunchy, don't you think? What's the elevator speech for Apple? We make phones and people are so locked into our ecosystem, it's just too hard to switch. I think that's kind of it. It's just too hard to leave. But people don't really, it's not really that amazing anymore. I think that's kind of the problem. So, will you open trades at all this week? I didn't trade last week just because my mind was all over the place because my cat passed away and it's not a good, you really, if you are distraught ever or just distressed or stressed, do nothing, right? That's always the best thing to do. So at the moment, pretty much the only thing I've got open, one is stock trade on this, which is doing super well. And I think I've got some leap call options on Tesla, which are doing okay. That's pretty much the only thing. So I think probably the prudent thing is just to wait till after the Fed's done. I mean, why, right? Unless something really jumps out at you. The silver thing looks pretty interesting. That looks pretty interesting. But that's really the only thing I would look at the moment. Are you shorting? I'm not against it, but I'm not shorting if I don't know what the direction is. So, we haven't seen a broad kind of market turn down in any sector. So therefore, I wouldn't really want to short anything here. Sam, yeah, Kat, yeah, she got a little bit better and then she kind of lost her strength. And it's just, it is what it is. Broccoli sprouts. Yes, broccoli sprouts are very nice. So now this is a complete vegetable channel. If you just tuned in, we talk about how to make money and how to eat vegetables on this channel. It's a bit of a mad community. If you want to learn how to make money, then join me tomorrow at felixfriends.org/bootcamp and I'll teach you how we're up 93% so far this year. I'll give you the rule book. I'll give you the structure. We do an actual trade together so you can see what we're up to and how it actually works and how we implement it and everything else and how we do that in a couple of hours a week. So that's something you want to learn. Maybe help you get an extra income stream or get to financial freedom or just be able to quit your job at some point down the road, then come and join me over there. And I love you for watching it and for tuning in. And keep learning, keep digging in the markets. Don't panic. I would probably recommend this week for big decisions. Wait for what Papa Powell's going to say on Wednesday, because that's what's going to move the market a lot potentially. And